listening to Her Profit Era, the podcast for founders who want a business that actually works. A business that's profitable, predictable, and pays them well. I am Cindy Kumar, a CPA, a fractional CFO from Abbotsford, BC, Canada. I'm the person founders call when they're tired of high revenue months with no money left over. I started this podcast because too many founders were chasing sales while their margins, cash flow, and bank accounts told a completely different story. I believe profit and money in the bank is the standard, not a bonus, and that every founder deserves clarity around their numbers. Each week, you'll get real financial strategy you can actually use and honest conversations with founders and industry experts about what it really takes to build a business that lasts. Just because no one around you has it doesn't mean it's unrealistic. It just means your nervous system just hasn't seen it yet. And that distinction matters more than people realize. I was asked a question during the holidays with my family. We were talking about winning the lottery, and I was asked, if you won $80 million in the lottery, what would you spend it on? And instead of answering right away, I really had to pause. I knew different areas I would spend it on, but when it came to like an exact number of how I would allocate things, I had no idea. I had big ideas like a private jet, a private chef, buying investment properties, investing in the stock market, doing private lending, having my own private oasis with a sauna, hot tub, pool, FU money, the kind where I could just make impulse decisions and do what I want, also help my family. But I didn't know actual numbers of how I would allocate things. And this really got me thinking. Because when your body doesn't understand something, it just doesn't feel safe. And you avoid planning for it. And when something doesn't feel safe, we call it unrealistic. And that's what this episode's really about. So let's talk about the real problem with manifesting. Now, we've all heard about manifesting, and most people think manifesting is just about like visualizing the end result and just waiting for it to show up without taking any action towards it. But desires aren't the problem because we all dream big and know about things that we want. But when we think from a realistic perspective, we think we can't achieve it. It's not going to happen for us because no one around us has done those things or has those things. So we think it's so out of reach and it's so unrealistic. And our nervous system, it's just keeping us safe. You can't hold something your nervous system doesn't feel safe around. Now, when a goal feels way too big, too luxurious, or too unfamiliar, your body doesn't get excited. It sees it as a threat and fear, so you avoid it. That's why people say things like, that's not realistic. That's not for people like me. That's for rich people, billionaires. That feels too far away. Why would that ever happen for me? And the reality is, those things are untrue. But it's because your nervous system has no reference point. Nobody around you has a private jet or the private chef. So when I thought about that $80 million, I knew I wanted it and it didn't feel far-stretched. It was more about what I wanted to do with the money and how much, getting clear on what I would actually do with it. So a private jet is a must. A private chef is something that I really want. Real estate, stock market, just space, quiet. But the reality is, I don't know what a private jet costs. I don't know what one private flight actually costs. I don't know what a private chef costs, or having like a butler or nanny or whatever that is. I don't know even like where to, I don't even know anybody that has those things. So it's like, I don't even know what the minimum version of having those things would even cost. And when you don't know the numbers, your body doesn't feel safe holding that vision. And that's the gap most people never cross. They just stop there. They think, oh, I'm dreaming big, something that's never going to happen, like winning the lottery or cashing out of your business at $100 million, for example. We all want that lifestyle, but we never learn the reality behind it. It might not even be that far out. We think that manifesting is all or nothing. And this is where people get stuck. They think it's you get it all or you don't have any of it. But manifesting works in layers. So, for example, a private chef, I was trying to say chef and jet at the same time, but a private chef doesn't mean having someone living in your house full time. It could just start up as like meal prep, hiring a meal prep company to make your meals like 3 or 4 times a week. You could start looking at what private meal prep costs. So I work with Training Day Cafe. They're locally here, and I buy like meal packages. And once I run out of those meal packages, I just refill them, or I let the nutrition person and the owner know like what kind of meals I want. You could also start looking at what a part-time chef costs. So if you had someone come in 3 times a week at your house, what's the minimum commitment? You could even start off with like chef's plate. That's a good like meal prep, like they send you all the groceries and you just make all the meals. Like you can just start off small. Even something like ordering your groceries online and then going to pick it up. Using DoorDash, like Uber Eats, those are all things like you could use. And a private jet, like it doesn't mean you have to full own it right away. It could just be one chartered flight, buying a first class ticket somewhere. So looking at like what is one private flight cost depending on where I want to go. What does a short haul flight look like? What does a long haul flight look like? How much does it cost? How many people could you have? When you ask what's the entry point, your nervous system relaxes because you're starting out like a bite-sized part of it. You're not going into it like, I need to go buy a private jet now. You're really looking at, okay, like if I start off small, what does it look like? How much does it cost? And then slowly as you build up, your nervous system gets more comfortable. Also, I want to talk about no one around me has this. That's another belief that blocks people. No one around me lives like this. No one around me has these things. No one around me travels like this. But think about that for a second. Just because no one in your close proximity has what you want, like the private jet or the chef, doesn't mean it's unrealistic. Other people have it. It exists. It's operating in the real world. Private jets are flying every single day. People have private chefs, they have butlers, they have nannies to help with their kids. Like there's so much out there. Just because no one around you doesn't have it doesn't mean other people don't. So how unrealistic can something be if other humans are actively living with it or have it? Your environment doesn't define what's possible for you. It only defines what you've been exposed to. I'll say that again. Your environment doesn't define what's possible. It only defines what you have been exposed to. And exposure is trainable. So why does exposure matter? Well, think about it. If someone's manifesting a luxury home, they go to open houses. They walk into the rooms, they feel the space. They might even take like virtual tours of the home online. They drive through expensive neighborhoods they want to live in. People test drive cars that they can't afford yet. You're not being delusional. You're really teaching your nervous system that this is possible for you and to get exposure and the feeling to it. And if other people can do it, it's not impossible. It's really just unfamiliar to you. Now, I want to talk about this money expansion exercise. If you've been sitting here thinking like, yes, indeed, this makes so much sense and I need to work on this, but I don't know where to start. I learned this money expansion exercise from Flora Sivo's The Manifesting Bestie. It's a podcast I've been listening to for years now. And how it works is you sit down and let's say I gave you $5,000. Well, then you would write down, where would you spend that $5,000? Would you pay off some debt? Would you invest it in like personal development? Where we'll go on vacation, buy a designer bag, like whatever it is for you, write it down. And then the next day you double it. So second day you have $10,000. Where would you spend it? Day 3, double it. So instead of $10,000, you have $20,000 now. What would you do with that $20,000? Now, day 4, double it again. So now you have $40,000. What would you do with that $40,000? So if you do this every single day, you can just imagine how high that amount is going to get. And it really teaches you how to be creative with money, because we all want the $1 million plus, but if we had that money, we wouldn't know what to do with it. And that's the same thing as like the $80 million lottery question I got asked. Like, yes, of course, we all want that kind of money, but where would we allocate it? Where would we spend it? Like, once we get clear on like the direction of like where we would spend it, your nervous system gets more comfortable with that kind of wealth. At the same time, you get to be creative. You get to decide where you would put that money. And if you hit a large amount and you're like, I'm interested in like a private chef, private jet, whatever it is, look at like how much it would cost. Maybe that's where you would allocate it. Or maybe you want like a new home, a vacation home, house in Mexico. Whatever it is, get creative. Start looking at what those things cost. Start researching. Like during your money dates, like sit down and just look at these things. For me, I'm going to look at like what does one private flight cost? What does a weekly private meal prep cost? What does maintaining that life cost monthly? Because once you go there, you don't want to go back. So it's about understanding like how much does that lifestyle take to sustain. You're not committing and you're not buying anything. It's not like if you call like a private chef or a meal prep company just to figure out their packages, what things look like, what kind of meals they make. You're just getting curious. You're just asking questions, and it's not like you're committing to it. And then once you understand what it costs, it's like, okay, like if meal prep costs like $200 for 20 meals, you can afford that. So it doesn't mean that you have to go big at the beginning. You can start off small, get comfortable. You're really just expanding your nervous system. And once you start doing that money expansion exercise, like do it for 30 days and like your mind's going to expand. You're going to be so creative and you're just like, all these things that I thought were like out of reach aren't, because there's other people that have them. Other people have the Lamborghini, the Porsches, the mansion, the private island, like whatever it is. Like if it wasn't possible for you, you wouldn't have those ideas of having those things. And clarity just creates safety. So manifesting isn't pretending you already have that life. It's creating enough clarity that your nervous system feels safe holding the idea of it. So like, what does it cost? What's like the minimum version? What's the next step, not the final step? When dreams have numbers, they stop feeling ridiculous. They start feeling possible. And that's when momentum shows up. From a CFO perspective, vague desires don't move money. Clear ones do. You don't wait until you arrive to understand the lifestyle you want. You learn it, you experience it in small ways, and you normalize it. That's how goals stop feeling like a stretch and start feeling inevitable. If you want to manifest more, don't just picture the life, learn the life, look up the cost, create the exposure, build safety in your body, and also find people that already have it that you can connect yourself with. So, for example, if you're looking for someone that's already built $1 million business, well, start looking for people that have done it already. Maybe they're not even in the same industry, but they've built $1 million business, or you know someone through someone. Like, get connected and get yourself in those kind of circles. Because once you do, the things that you want are like normal everyday things. But you sitting there thinking like, I want this, but it's not realistic. Like manifesting, desiring all these things, none of it's realistic. Money is just like energy. It's just flowing. It's just energy. It's like nature. So if you found this episode helpful, share it with a friend who also needs to hear that her dreams and all the things she wants is possible too. Now, just because someone doesn't have it around you, it doesn't mean it's not possible. It just means you're in the early, like, curiosity stage. And I truly believe that you would not be getting those thoughts and feelings or want specific things if it wasn't meant for you. So really try the money expansion exercise for 30 days. Let me know how it goes either in the comments or send me a DM directly at It's Cindy Kumar. I'd love to hear what your goals are and like what you're researching, and just tell yourself it's just curiosity. You're being creative. You're having fun. I'll see you next time. If you're a founder who wants real strategy, not noise, and you want someone in your corner helping you build a business that feels aligned, is profitable, and actually supports your life, you can apply for CFO on Call. This is my one-on-one financial partnership for established founders, typically making between $500K to $2 million, who want clarity, who want structure and confidence with their numbers. The link is in the show notes so you can schedule a profit strategy call, or you can DM me CFO on Instagram at It's Cindy Kumar, and I'll send over all the details.